It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Hillside Club here in North Berkeley. My name is Arlene Baxter. It's my pleasure to serve as the first vice president of the club and the organizer of this Fireside series. Normally I would ask who has been to this series before, but I'll just go ahead and tell you. I know there's some people who haven't been to our club, or at least not recently. This series now is over 100 years old.
Oh my God. Oh,
An event on a Monday evening, and we have a long and tried and true tradition of bringing members of our community to share with our club members and create a community. Right now, especially, as this is our first Fireside of 2021, a year that has already distinguished itself in some unfortunate ways, it gives me tremendous solace that for decades, for now over 100 years, through 2 world wars, many armed conflicts, and periods when it seemed like our nation was in real stress, we've persevered. The club continued. We continued to meet and preserve this community. And that gives me tremendous hope. And I hope it does for you as well. One of the reasons that I propose this topic this evening, virtual virtuosos, was because as the pandemic began, my reaction and my husband's was to listen to streams of opera. Just before our gathering started, we were talking about that, as how many of the club members also have been listening to, say, the Met Opera broadcasts or other streams. And I borrowed the tagline of the Metropolitan. Earlier in the year, they did a wonderful fundraiser with performances from members of their cast from all over the world. 3 hours of just amazing, wonderful performances. And the theme was, the music must be heard. And I so believe that. Now of all time, the music must be heard. Throughout centuries and all ethnicities, music has always had the power to bring solace, to provide hope, to bring people together in community, to provide for dancing, for joy, to support mourning, and always to bring people together. And of all times, we need that now. So I'm gathering together this evening 3 groups, all of whom have had the pleasure of singing in our club with its wonderful acoustics. So let me start. I'm going to introduce all 3, and then I'll circle back around and let each of them explain how their art and their performance and their teaching has evolved over these last few months. So let me begin with the person who actually has had the most experience singing in our hall. She's also actually a member of the Hillside Club, a soprano who has been part of the Berkeley Chamber Opera. Welcome, Eliza O'Malley. So good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome your parents, so I'm glad to see here this evening. So one of the fascinating things about putting together this combination of divine divas was that there were also connections among the 3 of them. So we learned during the sound check that one of the first opera performances that Eliza enjoyed, one of the musicians was our next performer, Shira, who was with us a month ago, almost exactly, and was here in the club almost exactly a year ago for the January Fireside performance, when we still could meet in person. That event was in order to celebrate musicians among the club, and Shira knew both my husband David and now I'm forgetting, Celia Ramsey. So it seemed very appropriate that Shira would come back around to be part of this event. She represents a lot of different musical genres, from traditional early music. She's been the music director for the Revels, which has had to transition as all forms to online. And so it's a pleasure to welcome Shira back to the Hillside Club. And now I want to introduce a group that is normally in Oakland. They're still in California. It's ironic that I met them through my newest community. In the summer, I joined, through the Revels, I joined a group called the Daily Antidote of Song. It's truly daily, every morning for me at 9 o'clock. For the East Coast, it's at noon. There's a group or groups that lead a song or more. And over the months, we're now at day 285 every day. And it has been so heartwarming to hear songs of joy and mourning and activism and everything in between. And it was, I had to go all the way to Washington, D.C., virtually, to meet these two wonderful women who are normally in Oakland. Pat Humphries, Sandio, Emma's Revolution. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you so much.
So let me go back and let's start with Eliza and talk about, just for you, Eliza, how your musical genre, opera, which is one that normally requires probably the most trappings of costumes and set and orchestra and conductor. How have you evolved in your art over these last few months?
Well, the first thing is that I had to learn how to create the music through an electronic medium, which is anathema to me before this. The first thing I did is I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to capture the sound of my voice, because that's the only voice I had handy, on microphones. So that was an interesting adventure, trying with my iPhone and then trying with an old Zoom recorder I had and trying with all these different things and trying every room in my house to see which one would work best, and finally giving in to allowing some reverb, the GarageBand reverb. I learned how to use GarageBand and started to learn how to mix things together. So that was the very first step that I took. And like many people, I had been in the middle of a project. We had all been rehearsing, planning to perform the Dialogue of the Carmelites at the Hillside Club in April. And we were almost ready for, we were 3 weeks away from the performance when we all had to go into sheltering in place. So the first thing I was thinking was, maybe we can make it a movie. So I had to figure out how to film myself, get my cast members filmed, get the orchestra, and that first week I had all these ideas of how I was going to make every orchestra member record their part, and every singer was going to record their part, and I thought surely it can be done. And then I thought, well, we'll just start with one scene, and I discovered that just doing a duet with myself and another cast member and the pianist was really quite challenging. I set myself up in one room and realized that just having I was using my iPad to film myself, just having it face me already diminished the capabilities of the iPad. So I had to figure out a way to tape it, because the best camera is on the other side. So I had to tape it to a music stand and then press play and then run across the room. Anyway, discovered all these things. It was actually what happened is that it kept my mind off of the pandemic altogether, and so that was it. Ended up actually being a blessing in disguise. And actually, I wanted to share just a little bit of that first video that we made. If I can share my screen. This is with Ellen St. Thomas, and Jonathan Cooner is playing piano. And it's a duet where Mère Marie is delivering bad news to me, Blanche. So that was, we discovered things. First of all, we had this idea. I just had that idea that I was on a walk of how would we do a set with all these people? And I just thought, well, maybe we could just be coming out of the darkness. And Ellen had been to film school, so she actually had techniques for this. And she sent over her video. And she said, all you have to do is put a light from the side, or two lights, one on your face, one on the side, and then turn the lights out. And that worked great. But still, we had the problem of looking at each other, and we got close, but anyway, it would have been okay. And we actually got excited, and I started to think about all kinds of other backgrounds and contacted the publisher and spent about 6 months pursuing it. And then the Poulenc Foundation said, oh no, we don't want to give you permission. So, because they never have, and they didn't see any good reason to change their mind just because there's a pandemic. But that's okay. We learned a lot just by going through that process. And then, so by doing that, I discovered I needed a better camera. I ordered a camera I got a used camera from B&H, and I set it up at home, and I got really interested in what you can do with a camera that you can't do on stage. And the first thing I noticed is that you can get close-ups. And I started getting really fascinated with all of the things around me because, again, we're sort of limited to where we are. And I started filming my curtains. And I just had a lot of fun filming my curtains. And then I discovered that you can overlay the problem with the presenting something on video, if it's just you doing the work, is that you can't follow yourself across the room. So instead, I had the overlay moving around, and I just put myself in still. I filmed myself on a black background so that it would fade into the background. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that video. Where'd it go? Okay, here it is. So this is Barbara's Sleep Now. then I really wanted to have a scene partner, and I was out on my back balcony, which thankfully we just finished. We rebuilt it the summer before last, which turned out to be brilliant because it took us 15 years to do it, but it was perfect timing because it's been my pandemic perch, and I've been out on the balcony filming the birds and the trees and the sunset, and this is a hummingbird I happened to capture. And it was a perfect scene partner. So again, I filmed the bird separately. That's out the view from my balcony. And then I overlaid myself.
He's a wonderful scene partner.
I feel like it really was responding very well.
Quite wonderful.
And then there was a rainy day. This one, oh, I forgot to mention, the pianist for Sleep Now was also Jonathan Cooner. And then the pianist for the Maria, the one with the hummingbird, was Michael Moran. And then another thing I discovered, just working from home, is that there's a ton of music on YouTube that is accompaniment to standard repertoire. And I found a whole orchestra playing one of my favorite songs. That piece is she's singing to poisoned flowers that have just poisoned her. So I actually got the flower and then thought of the aria and then found the orchestra. So one of the things about singing with pre-recorded material partners is that you always have to breathe with the thing that went first. And it gets tiring doing that. And also you have to listen through earphones to the thing that went first, which is a special challenge. Especially if you're trying to film yourself, you don't want to have the big earphones. But even if you did, it's hard to hear yourself while you're singing. And you sing over it, then it's just much harder to hear instrumental partner that's on through the earphones than in the room. So it was just a little bit fatiguing. So then I did some things a cappella. I did some Gregorian chant. And then one day I just decided I wanted to improvise something and just make it up from scratch. And I discovered that I could do a trio with myself. So I made this up with a easy garage band. So I'll just leave it there because it'll take forever to get to the very end of the phrase. But
Thank you, Eliza. They're wonderful examples of creativity by necessity, an inspiration. So
thanks.
love it, love it. And we'll come back and ask more questions later, but I'm going to move on now to Shira, and who has a different set of situations of with playing different instruments, having a pod partner. So Shira, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the situations you've encountered with choral music and with revels, as well as playing for instrumentals?
Well, like Eliza, who I think you've just done a beautiful job with combining these new things. I've also been awash in a sea of inputs and outputs and wires and machines that I don't understand, and then lights that come on and off at times I don't understand. And we're 10 months into this now, and I still feel like, oh my God, what's Phantom Power? I'm by myself. I'm not sure what to plug into what. But I'm grateful for the technology, just the way I'm grateful that we can all meet here in this weird two-dimensional boxy world. And I think I might speak for many of us, I'm grateful for this venue, but I am so missing music in a live space with live people. And I'm really grateful, Arlene, that you and I and David got to be in a room playing music together. And I've been really lucky in that I've done a bunch of, actually before this last lockdown, whatever we're in, I don't know what any of it is anymore. But I was playing some backyard music with different bands. And that was really, really nice. But then it started getting cold and it started getting dark early. And then we weren't supposed to go do that even. And so I've been lucky in that I've kept playing with people, but in various ways, but none of it is like how I want it to be. And I was thinking about this with teaching because, okay, so my musical life, I used to play classical viola and I escaped from classical music world, although I still love classical music. In fact, just listened to the Bach B minor mass this afternoon and sang along with the score, which is why my voice is kind of trashed right now. But I'm finding there is a little bit more time and room to try to rediscover some of those things. I haven't sat down and listened to a big classical music piece for a long time. And I used to listen a lot more. And then, doing music for a profession or anything you do for a profession, it's very easy to lose the thread of magic. You have to keep on reminding yourself, oh, right. I'm not doing this so I can sit in traffic and be frantic and do all these arrangements at the last minute. But my musical life became much more of a kind of chamber music, traveling minstrel kind of experience. I came to really love early music, which, as many of you know, is small ensemble stuff for the most part. There are some things that you would do in big groups, but mostly we're talking about, somewhere from 2 to 10 people, a very small community worldwide. And I was lucky enough to play the medieval fiddle, and not very many people do that. And so I had a lot of opportunities to travel all over the place. And I feel really lucky to have been able to do that. But a regular day in my life before the pandemic would have involved a lot of different people, a lot of rehearsals, a lot of concerts, not all in one day, a lot of moving around, a lot of traveling. I have to say, I don't miss the travel part of travel. I miss the being in the place, seeing the people I love and playing music and seeing interesting things. I don't miss the lines at the TSA or anything like that, or the glamour of turbulence. But my life changed considerably, like I think most musicians, on a dime. I was doing concerts. I did some concerts in Boston and got back on March 8, something like that. Then did a junior high performance of, I do a medieval music thing once a year for a junior high school, a couple other things, and then everything stopped. I mean, as you know, it all stopped. And of course, there were, the way that, freelance music works, you're kind of booked a long way out, even though you might have months with nothing. You might then also have something in September of the next year. And after a couple of weeks, it became very clear that, there were concerts in Hawaii in April. No. Trip to San Diego to play a dance weekend. No. Trip to Nashville to play a dance weekend. No. So all of these things just, falling down. And I mean, I've been immensely lucky in that the organizations that I was working for before this have been, I'm going to say, beyond spectacular in noticing that musicians no longer had a way to make a living. And so there have been opportunities made by a lot of the different organizations, early music and like English country dance and the country dance society in the Bay Area. Sorry, I think I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I've been lucky in that opportunities have also been made. So basically the Bay Area Country Dance Society, said, well, we're canceling all this stuff, but propose something and we'll see if we can get you some funding. And I'd always wanted to do a music -1 English country dance project. So again, getting back to all the wires and the inputs and the outputs, also with GarageBand, like Eliza, started recording with other people on the porch, and music where a part would be missing, so that presumably the people who wanted to practice playing, making up harmonies, for example, would have the opportunity to do that without actually hearing someone harmonize. So maybe I'll even put a little later, I'll type in the website. A friend of mine made a beautiful website, and we made this project of English country dance music -1, which never would have happened without the Bay Area Country Dance Society saying, propose something. So I feel like I've been really fortunate in that kind of thing. I think some of you know of the Revels. I've been the music director for a few years, and I've been involved with it for like 30 years. So I was associate music director for many years as well. And of course, this year, like many other Revels and like everything else, it became, oh, we're going to do a virtual thing. And oh dear, what does that mean? Oh no, we don't have the people that can do that. And then, I was the music director, and we wanted to have a sense of community, because that's a lot of what the Revels is. It's not just the show that we put on, but it's also the kind of village that's created, which is a beautiful thing. And that's one of the reasons I want to do it. So we were thinking about, well, what could help that? Well, we'll have weekly rehearsals. And then I'm sitting there going, okay, you can't really have a rehearsal because of the latency thing. You can't make music at the same time on Zoom. So I ended up, directing rehearsals where I didn't hear anybody. And it was really surreal. I mean, I think most of you know this syndrome by now. And all teaching, all music making that has been on Zoom, everyone else is muted, or you are muted, and so you're playing with people, but it's kind of by feel. And some of it's been immensely moving, but I look forward to looking back on this. I've done a couple of little weekend workshops, and there was one quite near the beginning with a friend of mine, Christy Catt, who lives in Boston, and we decided we'd do a weekend of the music of Hildegard von Bingen. And, we're both flailing around with the nuts and bolts and the buttons and stuff. But we ended up with a beautiful workshop where we had about 25 people, and they were from all over the place. And we kept thinking, how can we get them to make music together? Because you can't make music together. But I just remember one moment that was very beautiful, where there was a call and response thing. And one of the women was in Portugal, and someone was in Chicago, and someone was on the East Coast. And we had people grouped in threes, so it wasn't, you know, a totally insane cacophony. But there was just this moment when this woman sang from Portugal, and then this woman in Chicago answered her, and then this person on the East Coast sang something. And I remember that was like one of the first moments of grace in this ridiculous misadventure. So I feel really lucky about that. Maybe I'll share a couple of these little videos. I don't have, I haven't gotten into the filming myself, but I'll share just little bits of two things. And one is from the Revels. This was a virtual choir piece, which sounded so innocent and simple when it came up. Oh yeah, it'll be great. We'll do, I know, an Orlando de Lasso piece, 5-part polyphony, just absolutely gorgeous piece of music. Every, you know, yeah.
Just play it for us.
I'll just play it for you. Okay, now I have to do the share screen thing. I'm not going to play you the whole thing. And here we go. Share screen. I have to talk to myself for a moment. Do this. Oh no, now I don't see it.
Remember to optimize the video clip.
Optimize for video clip. Okay. I hope this will work okay. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to share the clip, but it's not come up on my. Can you see the bubble heads?
No, but if you want to share it to my email, I can do it on this side.
Okay, I just hope you can get in to this because this is the thing that's, I'm so sorry, you guys.
Sure.
This is the thing that's in here. Jim, I'm just gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
It's on a Google Drive. I don't actually Can you not get into that?
No. Why don't you try, so when you click the share screen.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, well, maybe what I'll do is I'll show you, I can take a screenshot and show that to you.
Okay.
And then I can play a little of the music. Can you hear the music?
Yeah.
We can hear, but.
Yes, we can hear. I can hear it anyway. It was great.
Okay, I'll just play a little bit. I'm so sorry. I thought that I could share this, but because it's a shared Google Drive. So here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit and then I'll show you a picture of what it looks like. Okay, I'll cut it off there. Oh, I feel bad about this.
Oh, beautiful.
Share it, but I'll show you. Am I still sharing the screen?
We're seeing you.
You're seeing me. Okay, I'm going to go back to this now, and I'm going to share my screen.
Because
so
when
you can.
Earlier, it was wonderful of having individual faces coming in.
Yeah. So I just want to show you. Can you see this now? the bubble heads. So yeah, if this had worked the way I wanted, you would have seen bubble heads appearing over the night sky here. And you can see it's a whole bunch of people. And each person recorded at home by themselves with a scratch track that me and my friend Phoebe and Fred Goff made together. And then everybody recorded at home, and it's a really complex piece of music. And thank God there was a sound person that knew how to do the nuts and bolts of putting it together, but he didn't know this music. And so it took, I can't tell you how many hours we spent. And, it'd be like, okay, wait, that needs to go back to the left just a tiny, tiny little bit. And it's still, it was a really interesting experience, but it was so hard. And so now when I see, these amazing virtual choirs, you just think, that's just so much work. So it always impresses me that people have bothered doing that. So anyway, sorry about the mishap there. I think I'll play one other little thing for you just because I found this kind of amusing. This was also quite near this was a couple months ago, the Videntes. Whoops. You'd think by now I'd actually be able to do this, but no. So I'm going to share my screen again, and
Just make sure you select that.
Yeah. Oh man. Now things are disappearing that I need. Okay. I will select. Oh, this is really bad. So this is, in a way, that's par for the course. This is the story of what my life has been like for the last 10 months.
Probably everyone else here. So.
Yeah. I'll just play a couple of minutes of one of the groups. This is the group that was going to go to Hawaii. It's called Calixtone, which means Callisto. And we have a medieval music group, and we were invited, asked, cajoled into making a short video for the Early Music Society. That was just a little teaser. I won't play the whole thing, but we ended up recording it in an airplane hangar because the wife of one of the singers, Alison Zellis Lloyd, her husband has a plane. And so we went out to, this is probably maybe it was May or April, and we recorded this whole thing in this airplane hangar. But I was amused by our entrance, so I'll play that for you. Sorry, I'm having also, what do you see right now? Do you see the desktop, my desktop?
No, we still see you. So
You still see me.
yeah.
Okay, so I need to figure out why I am not.
So you need to, there you go.
Okay, so here we go.
Perfect.
So there's the Mustang. etc. Anyway, it was a highly entertaining afternoon out at the little airport in Concord. And so that was a different kind of thing altogether than trying to put together 49 voices in little bubbles.
Well, thank you, Shira.
You're so welcome.
And I'm going to move on now to Emma's Revolution. Sandio and Pat Humphries, who are mostly known as activists, as singer-songwriters and instrumentalists. But ironically, there's also this connection. Sandio used to be an early musician or someone in early music. And so it comes full circle. So welcome to the two of you, and share with us, your situation's a little different. First of all, you're sitting there together as a pod and continuing to be able to make music together, write pieces together. How has your evolution come about in this interesting time?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us. It's fascinating to see how other people have been, other musicians have been handling this time. I had just in January, last year ago, January, moved up to my girlfriend's house just outside of Davis. And then when the shelter in place order came up in March, we decided that it would really pretty much be impossible for us to do anything if there was anything to do during this time. And, we did not have a lot of video skills or home recording equipment or skills around that necessarily. So it was all new to us as well. And we made the decision thinking, of course, like everybody did, it'll be a couple of weeks or a month or something. And, so Sandy would packed a bag and came up to Davis from Oakland. And then
It's kind of like a Gilligan's Island thing. Like I came up, thinking it was a month, and then it's 9 or 10 months now.
so then we had the same experience that other touring musicians like Shira mentioned had. All of our gigs disappeared within the course of about a week and a half. And then the ones that were booked farther out, we were hopeful maybe the fall, maybe, and all of those dropped away. And, we were a little panicked, understandably. And we had just, we had a Patreon page that we had put up, I think also around January. And we put the word out to our audience saying, okay, we don't have any work. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how we're going to do this or if we're going to do this, but, we have no sort of visible means of support. And people really stepped up. Individuals stepped up to support us on a monthly basis through Patreon. If folks are familiar with this online thing where you can sort of subscribe basically to support artists, creatives. And then we a number of venues actually that we were supposed to be scheduled for contacted us and said, well, obviously this isn't going to happen. And some of them actually just paid us outright, and we basically exchanged an IOU with them.
Yeah, and
we will come when we can, kind of thing. And then Sandy got on the phone to get on to figure out how to get the technology going.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the gigs that got canceled is a show that we do with a dance troupe that's based in Palo Alto, and we've been doing it every other year for probably the last 8 or 10 years, something like that. And it was scheduled for, March 20th, 2020. And then it was rescheduled for this year. And now we just are waiting for the date for 2022. And who knows? I really don't. I don't know when we're going to be doing any of this again. And we, our experience of being able to, we know we're super lucky to be able to perform together. So we do concerts from here. We do 3 weekly workshops. We do a weekly Learn an Emma's Revolution song, because when this all fell down and I started to reach out about how do we get online, how do we do lighting a little bit or whatever, we actually wanted to be able to show you a behind the scenes, like you see us sitting here and this all looks calm, but like the rest of it is a bunch of jumble of stuff, which Shira and Eliza know exactly how that is. But when I found out first, sort of how to do this, I kind of had to think, what do we have to offer? We always have concerts to offer, and we also sing at Unitarian Universalist and other progressive church services. So as soon as those people got online, we also have been able to do that. But one of the things we were able to do was create some work for ourselves of what we had to offer, including teaching people our songs every week. So we were we just did week 41 yesterday and some of them are older songs, some of them are new songs. Arlene was there yesterday. Mm-hmm. We premiered this song that we wrote. And what's been amazing about all of the things that we've done for us, and I should say we also do 2 weekly songwriting workshops. So for people who are interested.
And about that song that we wrote, she means we wrote it the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then we did a workshop on how to play that song.
But I think it speaks to the fact that you have to be willing to not do things perfectly in this time. Because we're learning so much. We get it wrong. Sometimes we get it right. I remember early in the pandemic, we were watching this performance of this really big name group. And, they had to sit distantly because they weren't potting. And so the visual was terrible. The audio was terrible. I was like, thank you for lowering the bar because we are doing our best. So with all of these things, I feel like part of it is that we need to be willing to be very real and make the mistakes that we are making, even in front of people. And what that means sometimes is, so we do a lot of Zoom programs that port out to Facebook, and sometimes I manage to remember to post them over to YouTube. But, we'll do one of these Learn an Emma's Revolution songs, and there are, 30 people, or I think there were 50 people yesterday was good, and, 40, people we could see on Facebook. And then by the next day, it's 1,300 people have seen it. So if we screw up, and we do, thousands of people will see it, and you just have to live with that. I think that's one of the lessons that's useful of now, which is that we are all just trying the best we can. What else was I going to say about it? So community actually is our biggest piece about this. And I'm sorry, I'll go on to you. But for us, all of the events that we do, whenever we were touring, it was always about community. We would show up in a town, we would stay with someone in the town, we would have dinner with them, because we didn't have an economy that allowed us to stay in hotels or whatever. So we are very much, and as activists, we are very much community people. So when we started doing our concerts and our workshops and everything online, for our songwriting workshops, we always open the room 15 minutes before so that our students come in, just like you would come into the Hillside Club, and you'd get to hang and talk. And then we do our workshop and we leave the room open for them, because they sometimes stay for 45 minutes. They've become this bonded community and supportive community, especially for people who have been spending this time by themselves. And likewise for our concerts, we started out doing concerts on Facebook Live, where we couldn't see people, but we could just see their little hearts and likes and comments, and it still felt connected. But we found that our audiences really like to see each other in a Zoom room like we're doing now. So we do our concerts that way, and we always have a post-concert hang, because people want to see each other. People want to say hello. People want to tell you how they're doing or ask something. And building the community and keeping the community, both for ourselves, but for people who like what we do, has just been a really important thing for us.
Well, and you saw yesterday at the end of your that song, people sharing really kind of personal information about their health and the state of their lives. but they become part of your extended family.
Right.
Certainly that's happened at the Antidote of Song. It's
Right.
now become an amazing community. And I'll just share with people that after the events of Wednesday, Thursday morning, that was not just one singer, but 8 or 10 really impressive musicians from all over the country came together just to contribute, just to be there in solidarity and sharing one stanza of a song. It was just so moving.
Right.
Each person taking, we're going to build either joy or love or peace or justice and each person sharing. A couple of days ago, in fact, those of us who are participants, who are not normally song leaders, got to add a verse of a song like that. And we're all just in tears after.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect.
No.
Powerful.
But it can be very powerful. And I want to just clarify that when we do these, the public part of the event is on Facebook. But then when we're hanging with people and they're talking about personal things, that is not on Facebook, just so you folks listen. But who are listening understand that. But some of the amazing things are, even with the latency, there is this opportunity now, as you said, where you can pop, the next voice, as Shira was talking about, someone from Bogota, I forget what you said, Barcelona can sing and the next line can be answered. And those things are miraculous and make you feel connected and can give, everyone in the room a chance to participate.
Yeah. I've been looking for a phrase other than silver lining. If people have ideas, I encourage you to put them in the chat. I've been using it just because it conveys a sense that there is a dark cloud, that there is a true downside, but then there's something beautiful and an upside of it. And for me, that has been it, is this community, various communities that have formed around music as a result of the pandemic. The fact that we've been able to listen to the Metropolitan streaming and we're earlier, before we started the program, talking about, Bach and digital concert and all of these online programs that for consumers, people who are appreciative of music, it's fantastic. Perhaps not so good, though, of course, for the organizations and keeping them going. And so you address something really important. Your Patreon link has really sustained you, and I'm so glad that's the case. I hope we have in the chat links to support each of our musicians tonight, Eliza and Shira, as well as Emma's Revolution, because I hope, if nothing else, one of the things that, if we're not already deeply inspired to do, is to support the musicians who are giving of their time, who make these concerts or classes or just gatherings available to us during this time. But still, it is what you're doing as a livelihood. You are professional musicians. That is your gig.
That is our work. And we were very lucky that we had the Patreon page in place. And Andrew Yang was right. Having a basic monthly income is a way to keep people from the instability of the way our lives were. And also, it really, it's an incredibly different experience to have something, as Shira mentioned, you have a gig in September and maybe you've gotten a deposit, but sometimes it was a very challenging roller coaster, and to have a basic monthly income is amazing, and really everyone in this country should have it. We have that money here in this country. So, and as activists, the other piece for us has been, how do we participate in activism online? And sometimes it means that we write a song that we hope will get out, or that we send to the people we know who could use it in their events, or people can learn it and sing it in demonstrations. I have an underlying health condition, and I don't go sing with anybody. I don't sing out in the demonstration. I don't even go to that many, because it's just too risky, this disease. But we're glad when people do. And we could show you a couple snippets of our things. I loved how, like Eliza's like presentation, and then Shira's like, you sort of hear us, how about a list of this really inspired us, and we could share a screen and show you a couple things.
It was something like the first half of the video.
No, we'll just do like a couple little clips, just
so you can see some
just
of
the way folks
what we've
did
done from the very beginning, the very early stuff, and then we'll move to the more recent things.
So I think it will work. I didn't quite set it up because those women were so prepared, but I'm inspired and I'm ready to do it wrong. So I'm going to try to do it right. So optimize for video.
And we've learned how to chat among ourselves why this happens. Yes.
Yes. So we'll play you a tab of, just a tick of this first one that we posted on April of 2020. Let's just see if it'll play for you.
From a distance, we will stop this thing. It's already really grim. From a distance, we'll make the best of things while social distancing. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes over Zoom. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace from every living room. Now you're watching us. Now you're watching us. Now you're watching us from a distance.
So that was us doing, doing all of the
all the tech ourselves.
Yeah, except then we sent it some. Unlike some folks who were talking, Shira, Eliza, we did send to an engineer for audio and a little bit for video help. But things got better. We'll play you another little clip of something. I'm sorry.
And what's the original song that you were parroting?
Oh, it's just called "From a Distance."
Yeah, it's the Julie Gold song, and we actually sent the video to her, and she was delighted.
Oh, that's great.
She was so excited about it. She thought it was really great, so she gave us her blessing.
Terrific.
Yeah, and the other thing we did was, similarly to what you heard from our other two performers here, was about how to work with other people. And so we have various people that we love to perform with who are in Oakland, and everyone did record their parts independently, and then we had an engineer audio mix it and stuff like that. But we did come down to Oakland to do a video, and we had a videographer who shot it, but we stayed masked, so you'll see a little bit of it. This was what we did in July. Find it. Talking to myself. Thank you, Shira.
Those crucial phrases that we didn't know were going to be important. Screen share.
Yeah, right.
We know the difference between a president and a king. The corruption, the obstruction. You try to get away with everything. But we know the difference between the truth and the lies. We're calling you out now. Then beneath November skies, we're gonna vote your asses out. We're gonna make a world where all our voices count. We'll keep fighting back in every way, and then we'll vote your ass
like that.
That was the first song of yours that I heard.
And you kept listening to more. I'm so happy. Thank you. So just a sense of how different, you know, like in those months, we really learned how to do things differently. Even the stuff that we were videoing ourselves in the backyard here, we knew how to get the camera lighting better. We knew how to not have like tons of reflection in my glasses, you know, just little things that we needed to deal with.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just want to give you a taste of what we've been
And
doing.
do you want to, I think that's a wonderful sort of summary. Do you want to then bring us up to date with your very, very current song? Which you...
Sure.
We could. Do you want us to?
Let's
Do you want to
maybe do
hear
that.
just a little bit of that live?
Yes.
Or
Sure.
I know you
Yeah.
want to have a conversation too. We could sort of do it.
Oh yeah, I'm not playing. I'm just singing.
You're not playing.
Yeah, this. What we wrote this. You mostly, and then I helped edit on Thursday.
So we're activist musicians. We respond to what's going on. So, you know, that's part of our job. We try to do that whenever we can.
And again, as a participant, this has been so exciting, frankly, to see musicians responding in real time to something so important and then immediately being willing to share it with your audience. And I was on Sunday, and it was great. It was very empowering. So thank you.
Well, we'll sing you, we'll just sing you up through the chorus so you get to hear the chorus. So it'll be 2 verses and a chorus, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So this was inspired by what happened this week. They came with flags and guns, convinced of his election. Rage-filled and dangerous, a ragtag insurrection. They moved with impunity, thinking they'd make history. Hate unveiled blatantly on a day in January. Gathered on that public land, red hats, white-fisted hands, to carry out what he had planned. The guards could not withstand the surging wave of violence sea through the holes in the balcony. The terror and the treachery of a day in January. Not in our house, not in his country, this land of Rosa, Emma, Caesar, Martin, John. Not in our lives, you won't divide us. We're born of leaders, and their spirits carry on. Kind of like that.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I want to sort of circle back a little bit just to sort of share some of the issues that apply to all 3 of you, and also see if there were some questions in the chat. Jim might be able to help me out there. And also one thing I wanted to, we have with us Bruce Coball, who is the concert director for the Hillside Club, otherwise known as the voice of God. We miss him coming from on high. But this sort of raises the whole question, frankly, for our club. We cannot make music here. We simply, that's not allowed. And so, how can we, moving forward, make sure that the music must be heard? And how can all of us do that? So I was actually talking with Bruce about, how he can keep music here at the club, and maybe people like Emma's Revolution being able to provide music through the club, but not actually physically here. We've had in the past this amazing concert series with jazz musicians and classical soloists and big bands and, all over world-class, wonderful, wonderful musicians, because our hall has these fabulous acoustics that are now going to waste. And it kind of, this is the heartbreaking part. Right now, the sound is the furnace that finally is going off. So, Bruce, if you wanted to just chime in a little bit and sort of share some of your thoughts about music here at the club in these funny times, and what we might be doing over the next months.
Well, first of all, I'd want to say that we have to look forward to this nonsense being over. 20 January, a large part of it hopefully will be over. After we get somewhere between 70 and 80% of the population vaccinated, hopefully the health issues will be close to over, and we can get back to what we were all doing before the craziness ensued. Emma's Revolution can get back to touring. Eliza can get back into the club with her opera company. Shira can do her thing. In fact, I have to say that while I've heard Eliza's company perform several times, I'm not familiar with Shira or Emma's Revolution, and from what I heard tonight, I'm excited. There's all sorts of great stuff happening out there that we'd love to bring into the club. But in the meantime, several important questions. We have, since the original pandemic lockdown, we started doing live streaming from the stage. I think the largest ensemble we had had been several quartets. We have a lot of contacts in San Francisco Symphony, and a lot of the principal players have joined us over the years in performances at the club. And so I was able to sort of draft some of those folks into service, and we were doing live streaming through YouTube. And when you do that, at least the way we were doing it, the program stays up on YouTube. One of the issues is that sometimes the artists don't want it to stay up. And in fact, in a number of cases, these folks are, real perfectionists, I'm sure, and of course you all are as well. But they were happy having their stuff live streamed, but they just, after listening to it a couple of times, no, I'm not happy with that, and so we had to take it down. That was.